So what is muscular dystrophy? So muscular dystrophy is a group of conditions or disorders, and this is caused by the genetic mutation, and the result is it start affecting the muscles over time. So this is a progressive condition, so that means the conditions worsen over time. So usually before affecting the muscle as a whole, so it starts affecting a particular group of muscles depending on the dystrophy type. So most of the time the diagnosis occurs in childhood. So it can be at a very early stage, in a 2 to 3 years old kid, or it can be start appearing in a kid who is going to school, what I mentioned before, or it can appearing at the age of 15 16 also it can start appearing. So what happens in this condition? So this is typically a dystrophin protein which is very much essential for the muscle function. So in absence of this protein or a mutated version of the protein, that can lead to a condition where it becomes difficult for the patient for walking or swallowing food or muscle coordination, like everything is being affected. So dystrophinopathies are very common among this disease condition. So this is caused by the mutation in the dystrophin gene. Also, there are cases where any mutation in this associated protein complex also can lead to a different form of muscular dystrophy. So here I have shown the very different type of muscular dystrophy, like Duchenne muscular dystrophy, Becker muscular dystrophy, and congenital muscular dystrophy, myotonic dystrophy, facioscapulohumeral muscular dystrophy, limb-girdle muscular dystrophy, and oculopharyngeal muscular dystrophy. So all this muscular dystrophy, you will see the different areas of muscles are being affected in different conditions. So among all these different forms, usually Duchenne muscular dystrophy and Becker muscular dystrophy is very common. So in further slides, we'll be focusing more on the Duchenne muscular dystrophy. So usually, if you think of Duchenne muscular dystrophy, so this is inherited as a X-linked recessive manner. So that means more frequently the boys will be getting affected compared to the girls. So why this affects most of the boys? So if, like I have shown in the previous section, the chromosomes the boys like the males and the females have. So in case of male, so it has one X chromosome and one Y chromosome, and in case of female, they have two X chromosome. So this gene for the dystrophin is present on the X chromosome. So that means in case of male, so it has only one, it has only one gene, and in case of female they have two genes. So suppose in case of male, if you consider, so if the X chromosome is a defective one, means carrying the defective genes, definitely this male is going to be affected because he has no other X gene to provide the functional gene. So in case of female, because they have two X chromosomes, so if one is defective, so the other can contribute the gene function. So that's why usually the females are mostly the carriers. That means they can carry the disease to the next generation. Whereas in case of male, so if there is one defective gene, that means the condition appears in that kid. The DMD gene that codes for the dystrophin is being studied, and it is located on the X chromosome. So DMD is the largest known gene in the human body. So it's spanning 2.5 MB of DNA with 79 exons and 78 introns. And the protein size is around 427 kilodalton protein, with total number of amino acid is like 3685. This is a very massive protein. Like usually many other genes, like we have thousands of genes in our body, so they are very small, like small compared to this gene. So that means this gene is so big. Like if you look into like earlier mutation chapter we studied, so you can understand the more the bigger the gene, so it has more chances of getting mutation. Due to its massive size, so the mutation rate for dystrophin gene is quite high. That's why you will find like the muscular dystrophy has many different forms. So this is a very simple example I am showing to explain you the scenario. Suppose there are two houses, and this is a very big house, and you can see a lot of like fragile point. Fragile points mean like means glasses, lot of glasses in this house, and this is a small house, but not a lot of fragile points means less glass. So suppose someone is playing cricket, like the children like to play cricket. So suppose in front of the house, a group of boys are playing cricket. So imagine if they strike the ball and if it is hitting the house. So which one will have more chance to get damage? So of course this bigger one, because it has more glasses, that means more fragile points. So suppose now you consider the ball, the cricket ball, as a mutating agent. So that means, so the mutating agent can damage more of this bigger protein compared to this smaller protein, or you can say that this bigger gene compared to the smaller gene. So because it has more fragile points, so that's why this is very simple to explain. Like the gene is so big, so it comes with a lot of mutation. There are a lot of chances of different kind of mutation, and there are found many thousands of different like muscular dystrophy types. So let's talk about the dystrophin protein. So the dystrophin like is a very essential cytoskeletal protein in muscle. So that is located in like the inner surface of the cell membrane, the muscle cell membrane. So this pink color is the muscle cell membrane, and this is the dystrophin protein. And this is the connecting point joining the actin. This is the actin cytoskeleton, and it joins the inner surface of the sarcolemma. Sarcolemma means the muscle cell membrane. So in muscle cell, so dystrophin plays a very important role in maintaining membrane integrity and preventing membrane rupture. So this is the outer matrix. So imagine, because these muscle cells are meant to get contraction. So like whenever the muscle contracts, so how much pressure it builds on the membrane, and that this is the function of the protein. So it acts as a shock absorber. So whenever there is mechanical pressure, so it is built in a way that it prevents any kind of membrane damage. So you can very easily correlate it with to a shock absorber. So these are like I want to show, because this is very easy to explain what is the role of the dystrophin in the muscle cell. So you find the shock absorber like in all the vehicles, starting from a bicycle to a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler. So you'll find this is a very basic thing. So what is the role of this shock absorber? As you all know, like when the vehicle moves on a very irregular or rough surface, so definitely there are more mechanical like damage it can happen. So this is the like part of the vehicle which prevents such kind of damage, and keeps your like vehicle move smoothly on those irregular surface. So exactly that is the function of this dystrophin protein in the muscle cell. So I am just trying to show you the human muscle cell. This is a muscle cell, individual muscle cell, and if you look into like you zoom the sarcolemma or the membrane, So you can find the protein which I tried to explain in the previous slide. So the dystrophin the dystrophin protein in association with the other protein complex. So it is found just inner surface of the membrane and connecting the actin cytoskeleton with the outer matrix. So about the dystrophin structure, so I explained but still we can go into some more detail. So the dystrophin protein has three functional domains. So this is the blue color part you see is the actin binding end. So that means it is binding to the actin filaments, so which is cytoskeleton of the cell, and it has a central rod-like structure, and because of it has spectrin-like repeats, so definitely this gives us makes us clear, like it helps as a shock absorber, helping to resist repeated round of muscle contraction and relaxation. And at the other end it has a dystroglycan binding end. So this attaches to the dystroglycan protein complex, which is present within the membrane, and that is anchored to the extracellular matrix. So absence of this dystrophin protein or any of these the complex protein, if any of these protein are missing, so that leads to excessive membrane fragility and permeability. So this leads to a dysregulation of calcium homeostasis, which is very much essential. This is a comparison between the Duchenne muscular dystrophy and the Becker muscular dystrophy. So I think so in both the form of the disease, the mutation happens with the dystrophin gene. So if there is a nonsense mutation or a frameshift mutation, so this leads to a no dystrophin condition or partially formed dystrophin. So this leads to the Duchenne muscular dystrophy. This is the most severe form, and the symptom appears between age 3 to 5. And this is when a shorter form of the dystrophin is found due to missense mutation, this leads to the Becker muscular dystrophy. This is a more milder form, and the symptom appears between the age 10 to 20. So this I have shown a comparative protein for all the forms. This is normal dystrophin, the full length normal dystrophin, and you can see in the Duchenne muscular dystrophy, this end is missing, which binds to the dystroglycan protein complex. This part is missing totally. And in the Becker muscular dystrophy, the dystrophin is a shorter length compared to the original form. So that's why it partially help providing the function of the normal dystrophin. That's why in this condition, this is the milder form, and the symptom appears in 10 to 20 compared to Duchenne muscular dystrophy, where the symptom appears like this is more severe form. So that's why the symptom appears pretty early. So this is how this is the total picture with all the labeling I have done. So this is the functional dystrophin. You can see the total this is attached this end of the dystrophin attached to the dystroglycan complex, and the other end attaching to the actin cytoskeleton, and is the central rod of the dystrophin. So this is the total sarcolemma membrane, and this is the outer matrix, and how through this how dystrophin is helping to prevent any mechanical damage to the membrane by attaching the dystroglycan complex to the matrix, and through this actin binding end it is binding to the cytoskeleton. In case of Duchenne muscular dystrophy, due to mutation, the dystrophin protein is partially formed. That means it is completely lacking the dystroglycan binding domain. Due to this non-functional protein, so whenever there is muscle contraction, so every time there is a contraction, so there is high chance the membrane get damaged. so it can break at any point of time, and such kind of rips can appear. So these reefs allow diffusion of various molecules into or outside of the muscle cell. So the most important substance in damaging the muscle is the calcium. So calcium is found at a higher concentration, at a higher quantity outside of the sarcolemma. So because of this reef, now this calcium enters into the myocyte, and they activate calcium dependent cellular enzymes so that break down proteins called proteases. Normally by careful regulation of these calcium levels, so these proteases only break down old and damaged proteins. However, in Duchenne muscular dystrophy, so extreme high level of calcium activate two of these proteases, so which begins to break down many of the important proteins. So that kills the myocyte, or uh, the myocyte dies, the necrosis happens. So another important molecule who diffuses through these breaks or ribs are creatine kinase, so which leaks out of the cell and goes into the bloodstream. So usually in this kind of patients, so high level of creatine kinase is found in their blood, and this is one of the diagnosis tests used for identifying such condition. So creatine kinase is an enzyme that stores energy for myocytes and used during muscle contraction. So with less creatine kinase, so less energy storage, so which also weakens the muscle. So here I have shown how the muscle necrosis happens. So these are the normal muscle cells, and as you have seen in case of there is non-functional dystrophin or partial functional dystrophin, so it is the muscle cells are prone to damages, and it can cause death of the muscle cell. But again, at a very younger stage, the muscle cell can regenerate. But as the patient gets older, so the muscle cells are no longer can regenerate fast enough to keep up with the constant death of the myocyte. So instead of fat and scar tissues begin to fill these gaps. So since these fat tissues are unable to contract, so that's why this whole muscle gets weaker over time. So now let's talk about the different symptoms found in these patients. There is always weakness and difficulty in ambulation. Ambulance means to walk independently without any support. So of course, due to the weakness in the muscles, so they definitely need some kind of support to walk. And toe walking is very common, and it's very difficult. They find difficulty in running, climbing up stairs, and frequent falling. And weakness is more pronounced in the proximal muscle than the distal muscles. And the lower limb means leg is mostly affected than the upper limbs. So increased incidence of fractures are usually seen, and contracture of the ankles, knees, hips, or elbow are more common. And hypertrophy of the calves is seen, so which is enlargement of the calves with the wasting of the thigh muscle, and this is caused, as I mentioned in the previous slide, by deposition of the scar and fatty tissues. So waddling gait, which is walking like a dog, is very common symptom, and Gauss sign is also, which I'll describe in the next slide. So these are also very common symptom, and the patient must be on the wheelchair by the age 10 to 12. Usually, like he need a wheelchair, and also the pharyngeal weakness starts appearing, and like nasal regurgitation of liquids and nasal quality of voice is very common. And symptom of cardiomyopathy can develop in the early teens and are present in almost all patients in the by the age 20. It is normally found in all the patients, and this condition become life-threatening. So when the muscular dystrophy start affecting the heart muscle and the muscle used in breathing. So as you know, like the heart is also a very muscular organ. That means you find a lot of muscles in the heart, and also lungs are also like there are a lot of muscles in the lungs. So when this kind of organs start affecting, so their condition become life threatening, and usually it is found like these kind of kids, you like the patient usually die of such kind of either some heart related problem or some breathing related issues. So this is one of the classical symptom or sign of such muscle weakness or this kind of muscular dystrophy condition. It's called GABA sign. So what happens when a child is lying down flat on their stomach, and they usually take help of their arms because their muscles in the thigh and hip region is very weak. And these are very different kind of conditions, like you see like a weak belly muscle, so the belly protrudes out, and thin and weak thigh muscle. So knee is bent back to take the weight, and they will have very poor balance. And as I mentioned, the toe walking is very common, and you will see a contracture heel cord and swollen calves. These are pseudomuscles, so mostly they are deposition of fat and scar tissues, and very weak butt muscles, and shoulders and arms usually are back while walking. So these are very different symptoms you can find in this kind of muscular dystrophy condition or the kids. Now looking into the inheritance pattern, so like there are two different conditions here. So when this is a affected father, so he has a defective gene on the X chromosome, and this is an unaffected mother. That means a healthy mother. She's not a carrier. That means he has both the genes on the X chromosome are all good. So looking into their child and how they transfer the defective genes to the child. So here you can see, because the male is having a defective gene which is carried by the X chromosome, so definitely, so this X chromosome will be passed on to the daughters. So because having a like defective genes, definitely the daughters will be a carrier of this disease. So this is where, like, you can see the black spot on these two chromosomes. That means the two girls, the daughters are born to this couple will be carrier of the disease, and whereas the males, because and they are getting the X chromosome from the mother, so which are healthy, so they are unaffected. And this is another example of the inheritance pattern when unaffected father, that means a healthy father, and a carrier mother. So the in carrier mother, so one chromosome, X chromosome is carrying the defective gene. Okay, so in father, like this is all normal, normal gene he is carrying. So how the like how it get transferred to the offspring. So there is one chance that this defective gene is passing on to one of the son, because the father is contributing, for the son the father is contributing the Y chromosome and the mother is containing the X chromosome. So when this defective chromosome is transferred to the son, so he will be affected. Okay, in other case, if the healthy X chromosome is being transferred from the mother, so definitely he will be a healthy child without the symptoms. And in case of daughter, because if one X chromosome, the defective one, is coming from the mother, though definitely there is chance like 50% of the daughter will be a carrier. and other 50 will be unaffected, means healthy. Okay, so this is all about the muscular dystrophy, and in the next chapter we'll study about one of the blood disorder. So thank you so much for watching.